guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm just going to put some lip balm on. This is my Emile Cordon Hampton Summer lip balm. It's like a green colour, but it doesn't come out green. My lips are really dry and the weather's really dropped. It's so cold. So today I'm going to film a glowy bronzy makeup look. I want to do something bronzy and maybe a metallic eyeshadow. Haven't quite figured out exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get straight into it. I'm going to start off with this STILA One Step Correct primer. This has a few different colours in it to correct and brighten the skin. Triple swirled formula counteracts redness, which is the green shade, dark circles and spots, which is the peach shade, and sallowness, which is the lavender shade. So I'm going to just put a little pump of that on my hands. This is how it looks. So we just mix that together and it ends up like a bit more of a greeny shade. I'm going to put that on all over the face. Doesn't smell of anything, which is good. Don't want anything too fragranced on the skin because it isn't good for you really. I know for those of you that don't react to fragrance, it must be a nice luxury to put something on that smells so nice on your skin. But if you're like me and you have sensitive skin and those sort of things tend to break you out, I can imagine this won't do that because there's no fragrance. This is not going to be the ultimate product to completely eradicate or colour correct your skin. This is a primer. The foundation is going to be what completely masks any of your imperfections. This is just going to work as a really nice base with a hint of those hues to help balance the skin beforehand. The foundation I'm going to use today is the Natasha Denona Foundation X Plus. This is a full coverage radiant foundation. It comes in a huge array of different colours and undertones. There is another version of this foundation which is just the X, and that is a matte finish. I'm going to use a duo fibre brush to apply this. Now I'm not so much a fan of dewy foundations. I do like more of a matte finish because I'm oily, so throughout the day my natural oils will start to come through and that would just give me a nice natural glow, as opposed to already putting something dewy on my skin and then my oils coming through and then me looking a greasy mess. This foundation is packed with anti-aging ingredients. So it's got vitamin C in it, it's got antioxidants, it has collagen and elastin boosting properties. And although this is full coverage, it does still leave you looking as though it is just skin and not makeup sitting on the skin. I love it. You can already see that this sort of area of my face looks much more even, and it's still really, really lightweight. It's quite an expensive foundation, but you do get what you pay for. You won't be able to sort of find anything that's really that similar on the high street. Now, as I said, it is a radiant finish, so it is more suitable to kind of mature skin, dry skin, combination skin. If you are particularly oily, you might not necessarily like this one. You might prefer the matte version, which again is the X. This is the X Plus. So I've just had a look and there are 20 shades available. Natasha Denona, if you're not familiar with her, is a makeup artist herself. So everything she does is with her makeup artist knowledge in mind. So she's aware of undertones, skin tones. So if you're very, very deep, she always caters for that. Equally, if you're very, very pale, she'll cater for that as well. So definitely a fantastic brand. And I still think, even though she's doing really well, it's still very underrated. So that's a really good colour match for me, and that one is 40N light medium, and that's a neutral undertone. So that's one layer over the skin, and as you can see, it looks so much more even and it still looks like skin. It doesn't necessarily look like I'm wearing makeup. In the flesh you can see I just look a lot more flawless. So I say it's expensive, it's about $45, and in the UK it's about £39. So it is not exactly cheap, but again, it really is a fantastic brand. This would be a beautiful foundation for a wedding, especially in the radiant finish. It's absolutely stunning. It's very undetectable on the skin. I have applied a little bit extra because I'm in studio lighting. I still only use the 2 pumps that were on the palette. However, I would probably only need one in daylight because in studio lighting you need a little bit extra. So I use the full 2 pumps, but I definitely would say that 1 pump would be enough to do your entire face and give you a really beautiful full coverage, not mask-like foundation. I'm going to be testing a few out now because I will be doing my wedding makeup at some point. So if you're not on my community tab or Instagram, then you may not know I recently got engaged. This one looks beautiful and definitely would recommend for a wedding. It's gorgeous, and when I've worn it in the past, the other shade in the summer, it's beautiful. It lasted really, really well. So yeah, and this is a beautiful shade for me for this time of year when my natural colour's kind of wearing down for the winter. As I said, I do want this to be kind of a bronzy, glowy look, so I am going to include the décolletage. So this would be nice if you're going out and you're wearing a top that exposes this part of your body and even your arms. I'm going to use the Tom Ford Bronzing Primer. This is quite expensive, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to add it in to a highlighter because I want it to give a little bit of a bronzy glow. If you have a more affordable option for a liquid bronzer, then use that. I'm also going to use the Huda Beauty N.Y.M.P.H body highlighter in the shade Luna. If you want it slightly darker and bronzy, you can go for the medium shade or even the deeper shade. The reason I'm adding the bronzer in is because I can't find where I put the medium shade, so I'm going in with the lighter shade. And I'm going to use the Body Blur and Glow brush by Huda Beauty to apply it. I'm going to dip the brush into the mixture, and then I'm going to take that over the décolletage. You can take your necklace off first if you prefer. So I'm going to run that over the top. You can instantly see the beautiful sheen it gives you. It just gives a little bit of colour to the skin. It picks up so well on the collarbone as well. I'll say I'm not a massive fan of the smell of the Tom Ford bronzer. I can't describe what it smells like, but it's nothing like makeup. I'm also going to take that across the chest. This would look absolutely gorgeous even on your wedding day. Maybe I'll do it. I've used this method a lot on photo shoots. It's a great brush for that because it really just goes over the curves of your body. I'm not applying it as much on the neck. I'm going to take a small amount of the highlighter on its own, just accentuate the actual collarbones. Getting carried away now, guys. Getting carried away. You have to make sure you blend it well, otherwise you'll see a few brush stroke marks. That's why I like to mix it for moisturiser as well, so it's a little bit less intense. Natasha Denona does a beautiful body glow. It's really lovely. I've used that one in a few photo shoots as well. Moving on to eyes, I'm taking this Magnetic Matte Eye Colour by Nudestix, and this is in the shade Taupe. Starting on the outer V, I'm pulling the colour down towards the root of the eyelashes on the outer third of the eye, and then I'm also going to draw a line tracing the eye socket going towards the inner corner of the eye. So we're going about 2/3 of the way across, and then before that sets in place, because it will set in place really, really well, I'm going to blend that out with a fluffy blending brush. Now, as I mentioned, these will set in place, so you do need to work very, very fast. And you want to work your brush backwards and forwards in both directions to really help blend that out. You will find it's not as soft as some kohl pencils. When they have a matte finish to them, they tend to stick to the skin a bit more, so it is harder to move them, but as you can see, you can blend them out quite well. And these are incredible bases if you're going to be applying eyeshadow over the top, but you don't necessarily have to. You can just use these colours on their own. Just look how intense that brown is. It is so incredible. I love Nudestix products. They're so easy to work with. And if you've never used these pencils before, you must. They are an absolute game changer. Once you've finished both eyes, you should have something that looks like this. As you can see, we've got a beautiful contour to both the eyelids. To give a slightly more diffused finish, I'm going to be taking this native shade from the bareMinerals Gen Nude Neutral Eyeshadow Palette. Tapping off all the excess product and buffing that over the top until it starts to look a lot softer, and as you can see, it looks more diffused. It's key to tap off that excess product so that you don't apply too much of it, which then inevitably completely changes the shape that you've created. So remember to apply your eyeshadow in light washes. Going back to the Neutral Gen Nude palette, I'm taking the shade Mystic, which is a matte bone shade. I'm going to swipe this over the brow bone. It would just kind of help to mattify that area, but it will also lighten the bone ever so slightly, making that brow bone look a little bit more prominent, in turn enhancing the contour that we've got going on in the socket. And then dust away any excess eyeshadow. Next I'm going into the bareMinerals Metal Eyes Gen Nude Metallic Eye Trio, and the one I'm taking to begin with is Pink Opal. This is probably my favourite eyeshadow that I discovered last year. It's the first time I'm using it in a tutorial, but I most definitely will be using it again in the future. I might even consider this for my wedding. It's absolutely stunning. These are really great as well because once they set, they stay in place, and as you can see, they are completely opaque. The payoff of these is just incredible. I like to apply them with the doe foot applicator, but then I like to pat it in with a brush. This really is quite easy to recreate because the Nudestix pencil just makes it really easy to draw on the contour shade, and then the opacity of this is incredible. So again, you just need one swipe of the colour, you can pat it on and you're good to go. The eye makeup itself really does take no time at all to recreate. And you can completely adjust how dark you want the contour around the eyes to be. You can, just apply a very light wash of the pencil. You don't have to be as intense as I've got it. And you can also lighten it with eyeshadow if it feels too dark for you. Next I'm taking another bareMinerals Gen Nude Metal Eyes in the shade Citrine, and I'm taking this on the inner corners of the eyes. This is a very subtle yellow undertone to it. It just looks beautiful on the skin, especially when you're creating a bronzy appearance. I decided to use this on the inner corners because it's a little bit brighter, so it's a great way to add a highlight to this area. Again, take control of your makeup, apply this in light washes, that way you've got control of how much product you apply and you won't end up with a bit of a mess at the end. Going back to my Taupe pencil by Nudestix, I'm now taking this along the waterline. I'm also going to use it to tightline the eye, and then I'll be also taking that underneath those lower eyelashes. As I mentioned earlier, these pencils do set in place, so they are really good along the waterline because they stay there all day long. I know some people prefer to use black rather than brown because brown can often look quite warm, and on some people that can make their eyes look a little bit sore. Brown is universally more flattering, so that can kind of suit most age groups. Even if you are more mature, you can still get away with wearing eyeliner if you're using brown because it is a softer looking finish. However, if you prefer, you can just use a cream colour along the waterline, or you can use black. I'm back to using my favourite expensive mascara by Louboutin. It's not the brand name that I am interested in, it's the actual mascara. I didn't want to like this mascara, I can't help but love the mascara, and as I don't drink and don't smoke, now and again I would treat myself, but I do think it is excessively overpriced, but it is incredible. So if you have a birthday coming up or a special occasion and you fancy treating yourself or asking somebody else to treat you, I will link it below for you. You can get it from Harrods or Selfridges. And it's definitely one of those ones, it takes a little bit of air getting into it for it to be perfect. So don't be put off when you first try it, give it a week or two, it is incredible. I am loving these Ardell Faux Mink eyelashes, so I've popped those on top. The number for these are 817, and as you can see, when you pop a tiny bit of mascara over the top, they really are stunning. Whenever I wear these, I always get loads of compliments about them, so yeah, absolutely beautiful. These have all the structure, all the volume and none of the weight. Absolutely super comfortable to wear. Moving back onto the face, I'm going to use the same product I've used for a little while now, and this one is from the Tarte palette. This is Shade and it's a cream contour. So I'm dabbing my brush into some and then taking that back off onto a palette. You can do it on the back of your hand, but it is quite messy. And then I'm going to work that into the hollows of the cheeks. I'm using a stipple motion because it's the easiest way to apply a cream product. And then I'm just kind of taking it from the middle of the ear down towards the mouth. And I'm not really taking it much further kind of than the corner of the eye. It's not about bronzing, this is a contour shade. I'm also going to take a small amount in the temple area. Just pat it in with your fingers. This helps to make this part of your cheekbone look more prominent. It only has to be very, very subtle for it to be effective. My favourite bronzer at the moment is, as you know, bareMinerals Endless Summer Bronzer in the shade Faux Tan. I've not changed my favourite bronzer since this came out. Feel free though to apply whatever one is your favourite. So this is the area that I apply bronzer. It's kind of because it stands up a little bit, it is on top of your cheekbones, and the highest point here is where you would apply highlighter. So So I always apply a very light layer first. You can apply a translucent powder if you want a very super smooth finish. If you've got textured skin, then applying a powder first will help your bronzer to go on smoothly, because otherwise it will catch on all the little textures and create a bit of a muddy appearance. I am going to go quite bronzy with it, so I'm just going to build it up in very light washes. If you want a faux tan to look authentic, then you need to take it up into your hairline and over your ears. What I love about the bareMinerals bronzers is that you can keep applying and applying and applying, because you get nice light washes. It's nothing really heavy. Obviously if you dab your brush in and go crazy, you'll get a heavier payoff, but you can really build it up with this. It's nothing too intense. You can see the difference. This side is nice and warm, and then on this side it's quite cool because we've only got the contour shade. The bronzer helps to warm it up and make it look quite healthy. I like to use this brush. This is the Zoeva 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek Brush, and as you can see it is angled, which kind of sits in the hollows of your cheeks, and you can brush it backwards and forwards. It just makes it so much easier to work with. You can also apply a very small amount underneath your bottom lip if you want it to look a little bit fuller. For blush, I'm going to use the bareMinerals Gen Nude Let's Go Nude. This is just going to be softly over the apples of the cheeks pulled back, and what I like about this one is it just gives you a bit more of a bronzy feel to your face. You can always knock it back slightly with your foundation brush. This just adds a little bit of colour to the cheeks, but it's really subtle. It makes it look more bronzy than anything. To line my lips, I'm going to use MAC's pencil in Stone, and this is a really nice nude. I have got a balm on my lips, so it's quite ideal because I can blend the pencil into the balm. So as you can see, even without going over my lip line, my lips look fuller. I just look stupid if I overline my lips. To fill my lips in, I'm going to use Nude Cape by Charlotte Tilbury. You might notice I've not put any concealer on yet. I'm actually just going to put a very tiny amount of MAC's Waterweight Concealer just under my eyes to brighten, but it'll be a very small amount. This is a very lightweight formula. It's great for mature skin, kind of all ages really, but if you like something that gives you coverage but it's very lightweight, then definitely check this one out. A tiny amount goes a really long way. I like to use what's left on the bristles to buff over the very edges of the blush and bronzer, just so it doesn't look like the concealer's there and then it's just like colour. Just put a tiny bit of powder through the centre of the face to get rid of any unwanted shine. Using this small brush, I'm just going to buff a very tiny amount of the Huda Beauty Body N.Y.M.P.H highlighter just on the high points of the face. So I'm going to put all the excess product onto the back of my hand and then buff a very light amount on the high points of the face. Just going to dust a little bit on the centre of the lips as well. And that completes my bronzy, glowy makeup tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. You guys so kindly bear with me all throughout the year, knowing that I don't really love to wear highlighter. So I thought, you know what, I know lots of you love highlighter. So this is my uber glowy makeup look. As always, the products I've used will be listed and linked in the description bar. Come follow me outside of YouTube over on my social handles, which will also be on screen for you now. And if you missed last week's tutorial, it will also be on screen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!